Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. Bought his mobile home park and seller finance, 25 years. And his son-in-law, who just got out of law school at McGill, this was in Canada, took it to court, and we lost. And even though the 97-year-old guy's in the front row, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm not going to be here in 25 years. But it's my decision. And the court ruled against us and for him. And we had to give him all his fucking money back. But we've had it stretch out in Canada 25 years. I highly recommend not to a 97-year-old guy, but I mean a 45-year-old guy. Yeah, we've stretched this out 25 years. No. Now that's over the top, and that's too good for our case, and not bad, but not in the best interest of the seller. Not the, but I mean, 15 years would be normal. 15 years, not 10 years. And of course, that reduces your monthly payment. But what I like, and when we're going to talk about later today and tomorrow, is, remember the other one, no payment for 2 years? Okay? You want no payment for 10 years. Or at maximum, no interest payment for the first 5 years, and interest for the next 4 years, and then a lump sum principal and the last interest payment in the 10th year. And people are doing shit like this. Now, I wouldn't, and the present value of money, which I poo-pooed a couple days ago, in my 54-year career, and only when I was a junior analyst 50 years ago has it ever come up. Ken Langone doesn't give a fuck what the implied interest and all that shit is. None of those guys do. But it's something they teach. I didn't go to the B school, and I didn't finish my master's in finance. I'm 3 units short, but I'm told, that's my kids, I'm told that shit's still taught. It's taught for what reason, I don't know. But you can kind of start to understand, you can buy these motherfuckers all day long because you're being able to overfinance them from the get-go. Now, what do you do with the 40% is the next question. Does everybody understand this part? Okay, yes, sir. Okay, ask me.
So, first of all, what is the principal 225?
Okay, so you're borrowing 60% of 3 million is 225. So the principal you have to pay back. Okay, I'm going to say this for $1, but I'm only going to sell you 60% of it. I'm keeping 40%. Okay, so 60 cents of the dollar goes towards the purchase price. I'm not buying the 40%. Okay, so the principal is the amount of money that goes towards the purchase price. The amount of money of the loan. If it was 100% seller finance, it'd be all 3 million. I'd be taking a note back as a seller to you. And so all the payments would come out of my cash flow against the 3 million. All the payments. But we're not doing that. We're only buying 60%. And 6% of a 10-year loan over 10 years is 135,000 towards interest the first year. And the principal, 225 divided by 10 is 225. So you're paying off the 2.25 million over 10 years. And so the principal towards the principal is $225,000.
So also paying 225 per year, only the 135?
No, the interest is 135. The interest on the loan. Okay. The QLA seminar is not just a seminar. It is a blueprint for creating generational wealth as fast as humanly possible. I teach you how to turn nothing into millions, billions, and even trillions. If you want to take control of your life, to create a legacy that lasts for generations, the time is now. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is this moment. Be bold, be selfish, be ruthless, and take no prisoners. I will still do seminars, but I won't be able to do this forever. Act now or not at your own peril. Thank you very much. Sir.
Just clarification. Revenue, this is the
We're talking about your white or black chauffeur now. Now, the banker won't tell you that, but they're thinking it. I can't imagine what they think when you walk in. I do imagine it's nothing nice. That's just the way it is. He gets away with someone because he's not a mulatto. That's not the right word anymore. Yeah, mulatto? Okay, yeah, okay. And the guys, now, my age bankers are dead now. But I mean, back when I was a Mexican. I was a minority. I didn't stand in the minority lines, but I'm a blue-eyed minority, okay? And so they thought it, and I remember getting in the line once a long time ago. I don't know how to say this exactly, but your name isn't Peña, is it? Nope. It's Peña. Yes, it is. Well, you're in the wrong line then. Okay. Is the money less? Yeah, the money's for less than that line. I'm not proud. I will screw you over there because minorities used to get preferred lending rates. Now, if you're black, you probably get a higher lending rate instead of a lower. It shouldn't be that way. That's not what the banking laws say. But anyway, I'm not going to preach the banking laws now. Yeah.
Is the sole purpose of the bank finance to give the seller cash? Otherwise, why would you sell? Okay, so
It's cash and comfort.
And comfort that you're getting something, and then they get their
especially on a deal like you that's got no assets.
Exactly.
All you got is smoke and mirrors.
You got smoke and mirrors, so they're getting some cash. So the bank may say, "We're not doing 60% on this deal. We're doing 30%." So then I could go back to the seller and just be like, "You're rolling 70% of your equity, but you'll get,
you could
30% up front."
Absolutely.
So it's just, I mean, fun. If I'm thinking in terms of like a waterfall, I'm thinking, "Hey, let's do this. We're going to roll your equity." They say, "Fuck that. I need some cash." How much cash do you need? And then I just go to the bank, and if it's 20%, if it's 40%, if it's 60%, but
you're reverse engineering it. I understand.
Yeah.
Everything you said so far is accurate.
Okay.
Where is the working capital in this loan? Is it a separate loan?
Correct. But some banks, if their loan to value is 60% or 65%, they're going to tell you, and you're not going to accept this, they're going to tell you that the difference between 60 and 65%, the loan that they're giving you, they want you to use that 5% as working capital. Now, I won't accept that. But you're starving, living out of the trunk of your car, you might. But in the scripts, you'll see there's a bunch of places where you say no. Now, you guys, for the most part, are so used to saying yes. Remember I said the day before yesterday, you got to know, K-N-O-W, when to say no. I say no to almost everything. That's why, like they told Sally, Mr. Peña, they didn't say I couldn't come to the meeting, but an hour meeting will be 4 hours with me, and I will run them through the fucking ringer. And because I know how far to push, you guys don't. Until you start pushing. But your fucking CFO and your CEO ought to know. Otherwise, they shouldn't be there. And you took it 5 months to find the assholes. Oh, fuck. That means I got to get rid of them. You know when you should get rid of them, but that doesn't mean you're going to get rid of them. And I'm telling you, these guys aren't. Now, Ben Carson isn't a dime a dozen kind of guy. Ken Langone isn't, but you got to push hard. Otherwise, you're going to wind up, he took 7 years, Vito. He should have done it in 3, but he did it in 7, which is kind of the benchmark in recent years. Whereas the pig fucker did it in 26 days. And the pig fucker doesn't understand social mores or anything. He just knows, that, like I asked him, are you going to sell her or fuck her? Both. You have no idea how hard you can push these guys. And now there's a generation and a half of wusses, even more wussy. Because they have a schedule to get the money out the door. And they have a little script too. It's not as pointed or forceful as the scripts you're going to get. And you've heard the guy say, we just use the scripts. And when you look at them, some of you, and you won't know why they work. Because when you read them, that doesn't make any sense. Why would anybody do that? The fact is, guys, and gal, they do it. I mean, you've heard all these people say they do it. But until you do it, your belief system is dangling around like that 40% up in an amorphous in the sky. You got to press the envelope. Otherwise, you're going to be, otherwise you won't get it done at all, or you'll be on the 12 or 13-year program, which I don't want you to be. A couple of it, which I really dislike, I wish you were in a 40-year program. But anyway, go ahead.
So on the overfinancing side, I'm getting a little bit tripped up because if they have all your documents from the company, your cash flow, they've done all the modeling, et cetera, how are you supposed to convince them on the extra 5, 10%, 15%?
No, because the institution has a loan-to-value benchmark. We either loan 60, 65, occasionally 70% of the value of the piece of shit. And you're only buying 60. So by definition, they're discriminating against you as a bank customer if they don't give you the 65.
So you're saying they have a minimum, but they're supposed to give you
by their internal bank rules and regulations. It's not the Federal Reserve that says this, or it's not the Bank of England that says this. They've set up around the world, the loan to value has been 60, 65 since I started 50 plus years ago. That's just it.
And you can convince them to go a little bit higher if you're pushing.
Well, when you're going to hear Jason Nagy, I mean, he just got, I don't know, $100 or $200 million fund, 100%. But he's been doing this 13 years. He's created $1 billion. He just closed another $100 million. And when you have a track record, like an LE, even though they took 20% of his money, of course, then you build in the 20% they're going to steal when you're in Dubai. You built in the 20%. You pumped it up like a show dog. And so you're still getting 100% of the finance. And the deals that they're closing right now in Dubai are 3.5% to 4.5% interest. If you're, I almost say like a white man, but anyway, if you're a regular guy and you're not a robot, 3.5% to 4.5% interest. That's what you should be paid. I can just imagine what you pay. Okay. Is that because of the Muslim angle, no loans? Okay. But if you're paying more than 4.5% in Dubai, something ain't right. Or any place in the Middle East, for that matter. When I was sitting there with an Nelly at his close, a guy that I knew from a million years ago came up to me and offered me €1 billion. Are you here to do business now, Mr. Peña? I thought that you called Dubai, Las Vegas. No, this is Las Vegas without slot machines. That's accurate. That's exactly what I said. But I'm not here to do business. And because almost a lot of guys, high net worth guys that have been in business like I for a lot of years, do business there now. I'm not one of them. I vicariously through some of my business partners do business, but I'm not the principal guy. I'm one of the partners, but I'm I'm always a minority partner. In America, the magic number is to be below 20%. I'm 19% from countless deals, 19%, because I know that that's the level at which they don't chase you. They don't chase you. And so, yeah, question.
Do you ever pull bank regulatory filings to see how many loans they have outstanding relative to equity and get a sense of how desperate they are to put capital?
All the time.
And then you just say, you need my fucking loan, or you don't get paid.
Well, I mean...
Without saying it.
Yeah, I say it. So, I mean, but again, guys, you're starting out. Now, he's not just starting out, but everybody else is starting out. And you'll push the envelope and make a little progress, and you push the envelope, and then you push the envelope, get slapped, and then you'll figure out what your own threshold pain is, or pain threshold. Yeah, pain threshold. Well, I'm not training you up to be mini-me's, but you come closer to mine to the continuum, and you're going to get rich or richer. And when interest rates were zero, and I screamed for 13 years, I was on television. The interest rates haven't been this low in 5,000 fucking years. A few guys that have followed me 30, 40 years, loaded up. And they're gazillionaires now. But not too many loaded up because they may lose their house and their wife would go off with the milkman. Do you have milkman where you live? Okay. Uber drivers. Go off with the Uber driver.
So the working capital, you take a 60% of for the loan. This loan is that like one loan is this much, and then the working capital is another one that adds
Correct.
So they both.
But no, you don't want them to mush them together. That's my point. You want 3 different credits.
But I'm saying, is that what adds up to 225, or is it 2?
No, there's no working capital on that yet.
Okay.
Okay, now let's go to the second part, that amorphous of 40% that's floating around, that is going to land on taking your house and your children and everybody. Okay, so now the seller is taking 40% seller finance, 1.5. This is the same deal. Everybody with me? Let me back up a second. No, wrong way. Yeah, no, that's the right way, okay. 40% seller finance, so 1.5 at 5%. Now, 50% of the time, the seller's not even going to ask you for interest on their money. It won't even come up. How is that possible, Dan? It's possible. In fact, it's most probable. Are you stealing from him? No. He's got a lawyer, you got a lawyer. He may be 97 years old with a lawyer, but he's got a lawyer. And you always want them to have their own counsel. Because that's how you get these things thrown out if they don't have their own counsel, meaning their own lawyer. It doesn't matter if they have their own accountant, but it does matter if they have their own lawyer. Okay, so now that's at 5%, that's a decent rate. I wouldn't have paid him anything, but this guy agreed 5%. And that loan is at a 7-year term. No interest for 2 years. Terrific. Remember, you want to push the interest and principal payments out as far as you can. The best is at the end in a lump sum. Lump sum. So you have all the cash flow for all the 7 years here and the 10 years in the prior note. That's $75,000 bucks yearly interest, and then a 3rd year principal and interest balloon the 7th year. So that means, 7 years, but that 7 years is not on the same terms as the 10 year. So what do you do the 8th, 9th, and 10th year? Well, the 3rd principal and 3rd year principal and interest balloon payment, $75,000. Now, working capital is a separate loan, remember? Equal to 1 month's revenue. I wouldn't have settled for 30 days. The kid's the idiot. I would have asked for 180 days and let him work them down to 120 days. But in this particular case, working capital, 1 month revenue, that's $225,000. That's 1/12 of the $3 million at 7%, which isn't a bad rate. And that's an additional $17,500 yearly in payments. And now the line of credit or overdraft, depending on what part of the world you are, is about 10% of the $3 million or $300,000 at 7%. That's $21,000 a yearly plus 1% fee of $3,000. Most of you have never been introduced to the line of credit overdraft because you don't want to pay the 1%. Which is crazy. I mean, it's the cheapest money you'll ever get. Yes, sir.
Does the seller finance count towards the DSCR for the bank?
Does? Say it again.
Does the seller finance loan count towards the DSCR ratios for the bank?
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's separate.
Boy, everybody that knows all my shit, you're thick as 2 short planks. Now you know why I don't believe anybody?